MAP4C 4.6 Indices. An index is a method to compare changes in a value relative to a particular time. To describe changes in prices over time, you must make a comparison to another year. A base value is the year that you are comparing to. The price in the base year amount is set to 100 to make comparison to changes in prices relative to the base year. So by making one value marked as 100 units, then we can talk about the index values as percentage change from that particular value. So the plural of the term index is indices, and there's indices that are used for a variety of purposes, but the most common is the Consumer Price Index. The Consumer Price Index, commonly referred to as CPI, collects thousands of price quotations from across the country to compare the prices of consumer goods and services over time. So, the formula CPI is equal to price of a market basket in the particular year that you're interested in, divided by the price of the market basket in the base year, and we'll multiply that by 100. That will give it the index score. For example, determine the CPI value for each year using the year 2000 as a base value. In this table, you can see that the CPI for the year 2000 is 100, and the price for a basket of goods in that particular year is $50. And I've made up these values for our example. So if we want to look at the CPI value or score for the year 1999, we'll take the price of a market basket in that year, $40, divide it by the price of a market basket in this base year, $50, multiply by 100, and we get a value of 80. Next, if we're interested in the CPI score for 2001, notice that our price went from $50 to $55. So we're talking about the percentage increase of $50 to get to this point. So it's not a $5 increase, we're talking about percentage. We get our value by 55 divided by 50, which is 110, when we multiply by 100. So we can interpret, if we just had this value, that this is a 10% increase from the base year. Prices in general went up 10% compared to that year. You can pause the video to calculate the rest on your own using this formula. Here are the values. Inflation. Inflation is the continuing rise in the general price of all goods and services. It is usually attributed to an increase in the volume of money and credit relative to available goods and services. So if people have more money, maybe money is printed, or credit relative to available goods and services. So if people are loaning more money out to people, taking more risk, then there's more money in the money supply. And then people are more likely to purchase items, which means that we can turn up the prices because people will be able to afford them. And then this causes all prices to generally increase when there's more money. So the inflation rate formula can be used to describe the percentage change between two CPI values. So between 2 years. And if we think of percentage change as year 2 minus year 1, divided by year 1 times 100. This numerator, year 2 minus year 1, is the score in their, the change in their score. And then the denominator, think of that, if you're dividing by that and using that as a base, we're talking about percentage change relative to this value. So it's year 1. And I think of this like a timeline where year 1 is on the left and year 2 is on the right. Example, the following table gives CPI basket gives the CPI for a basket of goods using the base year of 2016. So in 2016, we're setting this CPI value to 100. That's our index score base value. What is the inflation rate between 2016 and 2017? So in 2016, it was 100. In 2017, 125. Now, you can interpret this as a 25% increase by just looking at this base year to this year. That's because this entire table is all relative to the year 2016. Using our formula, we would have 125 minus 100 divided by 100. So that's the change in CPI value divided by the original value. And we're multiplying it by 100% to get a 25% increase between these 2 years. Now pay attention, this is a 25% increase between these 2 years, but now we're going to compare what is the inflation rate between 2017 and 2018. So I've intentionally shown 25 unit increases for each of these. But if we're comparing between 2017 and 2018, this is used as our baseline. We're comparing this year to this year, changes between years. That's when we can use this formula. So 150 minus 125, yes, the difference between these 2 years is 25 units, but our year 1, we're now using 125. And when we use this as our perspective and multiply by 100%, we can see that the price, the CPI value, has increased by 20%. And we can see that that's a general representation of the increase in prices of consumer goods. Let's try 2015 to 2016. Notice that this is now a point before our base value. What is the inflation rate between 2015 and 2016? So, again, intentionally the CPI difference is 25 units, but we're talking about changes relative to this position. And how much has it increased to get to 100? So using our formula with year 1 as 2015 and year 2 as 2016, think of it chronologically, the difference in these 2 years is 25, 100 minus 75, and the perspective we're taking is from the year with a CPI value of 75. Be sure to put the numerator in brackets to ensure that both terms, this operation is happening first before dividing. Otherwise, you might just divide the last term. Multiply by 100%, and that is approximately a 33% increase. And think about it. From 75 to 100 is a 25 unit increase, and 25 out of 75 is 1/3 of its value, so it's increased by 1/3 of its value to get to 100. 1/3 of 75 is 25. It's like a quarter. Quarter, 25 cents, 75 cents. Just one way of thinking about it. Lastly, interpreting a CPI graph. So a graph is great for illustrating a lot of information or seeing general trends over a span of time. We lose a little bit of precision when it comes to our exact values along this axis, but again, graphs are great for overall trends and at the expense of precise values, a little bit less accuracy. We have to approximate. What is the base year of the CPI? So looking at this right here, we could see that they've indicated 2002 is marked as 100, our base value. And if you were to follow this increasing line, it only is the value 100 once at 2002. So what is the base year of the CPI? 2002. In what year was the cost of a basket of goods about 90% of the base cost? So looking at our values on the y-axis, this is the CPI score. And we know that when the CPI score is 90 here, which is 1997, our X scale uses 1 unit or 1 grid space is 1 year. So 95, 96, 97. That's where it crosses at a CPI value of 90. If a bag of milk cost $3.69 in 2002, notice that that is our base value year. Then what would the price, punctuation. Then what would be the approximate price of milk in 1997? So 1997 is here. 90 is that value. And if we want to find 90%, or if the price of goods is 90% of what it was in this base value year during the year 1997, then what we need to do is take 90% of this price that we're paying in the base value year, and that's what we pay in that particular year, or that was the cost of that good or service in that year. So 90% of the amount in the base year, $3.69, we can convert the percentage to a decimal and multiply by the amount in order to get the percentage of the amount. So divide 90 by 100, that is how you get this decimal, and we get the amount when rounded to 2 decimal places. So that would be the cost of the item in the year 1997.